Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. I just wanted to do a quick video with many of you because there have been questions in the past relating to portals, or in some cases nature portals. So I'm out here in a local park close to where I live, and you see behind me this little path. There's kind of like a outer path as well too, but there's an inner path as well. Now, by habit, I actually don't walk through trees that are that close together. The reason being is because those can be custom made, custom programmed to function together as portals. So you want to be a little bit careful, especially if you're walking around national parks, state parks, provincial parks, wherever you are in the world. So if you see these, be careful, okay? That's just a little bit of advice. I have actually walked through that before, but no problem there. But basically, this is an example of a nature portal. Now, of course, it is not calibrated in that particular way. But if I wanted to, I could actually work with spirit. I could work with the two toroidal fields of these trees, and I could create a portal somewhere. It requires a lot of sophistication. It requires a lot of filters. It requires a lot of invoking and intention as well too. But of course, it would put a lot of people in danger because it's a public spot. So this is just a reminder, whenever you're walking out in nature and you see something like this, where two trees are very, very close together, be careful, okay? That is one particular possibility of a nature portal that comes together. If some of you are very good dowsers, you can actually go into the area and you can actually do a scan to make sure that it's okay. You know, some of the time it may be all right, but just coming across these as well too. These are, like towers, nature towers, and they can be calibrated for a person who knows what they're doing to actually take that into, create that into a portal. So like I said, just be on the watch for that, be mindful of that. Like I said, if you're not too sure, walk around them, okay? This is again just a notice because this is why some people have been disappearing in national parks, state parks, provincial parks, because they go through something like that and they think it's safe. Okay, I'm not here to scare anybody, but I'm just letting you guys know. If you're not too sure, if you don't have a pendulum with you, if you don't know how to dowse, walk around those areas, okay? Two trees that are that close together can often form portals, okay? You can even have trees a little bit closer together and they'll do the same thing, okay? But there's another path, like an outer path here. That's the path you want to walk, okay? Like I said, if you have a pendulum, dowsing rods, if you're able to connect with yourself as a pendulum through muscle testing, kinesiology, you can do a scan and say, no, there's no portal there, it's fine. And then go ahead and walk through. You'll be fine. But just be on the watch out for that. It's kind of like how we have fairy circles in Europe as well too. Those two are natural portals. And those will often take you to elven or fairy kingdoms, the fairyland altogether. So again, just wanted to share this video with you. Be mindful about that. Just be aware, not to create fear, but just be aware that that's one example about how natural portals can form. Hey everybody, I just wanted to create this additional video as I've now finished walking through the park and back in my car. But I also just wanted to emphasize a little bit more regarding the nature portals. Now, it's very important to understand that I am not in any way discouraging that you guys walk through nature. In fact, it's actually very important that we do. Now, as an additional footnote, I just want to let you guys know that when you're walking through a park in daylight, during the day, about 75 to 85% of the time, you're going to be absolutely okay, right? It's mainly when we are we're staying in a park maybe about 1 hour after sunset, okay? This is just basically where a lot of the common nature portals come into play, okay? So as long as you're walking in the daylight, walking trails, common public trails, you're completely fine, right? If you're going through a park and there's public trails and people walk that, I'd say about 95% of the time, you're good. You're good to go. It's just when we are walking at night, okay? So it's when about an hour after sunset, after dusk, where we start to just be aware of certain forms of nature portals that can happen, okay? So a lot of this has to do with just natural portals, right? The Earth has a great many natural portals that open commonly at night. Sometimes it can be 1 hour after sunset. Sometimes it can be right around midnight, around the early morning in that way. Usually if you're in a campsite, I'd say you're still pretty good. You're still in the clear. It's just not about wandering the wild forest late at night. Okay, that can be a little bit unnerving. Now, conjured portals are quite rare. What that means is that if there are conjurers, if there's magicians, if there's, whoever you want to put in there, sometimes ETs, extra-dimensional beings, can create certain portal networks, but usually they are in the greater depths of the forest. Okay, they're not in, the public trails or anything of that nature. So like I said, if you're in a park, a national park, a regional park, a state park, a provincial park, wherever, right? As long as there's public trails, you're fine. You're good to go. Okay, but like I said, it's usually when you see those columns of trees, like where they're just like two pillars, two towers, that again can turn into vortexes or portals. So this is where it's just my common habit to kind of walk around those trees, right? I could basically have my pendulum with me, or I could dowse, and I could say, no, it's fine. All right, fine. I'll walk right through it. But you just want to be a little mindful about all of this. There's a lot of reports about people disappearing in national forests, and a lot of people have constantly asked me why that is. Well, I'm telling you guys why that is. One of the common reasons is the idea of open portals. And sometimes people can veer off trails. They can go off into the wild forest, and they can actually stumble upon a natural portal, and it can take them into another Earth. It could take them many weeks ahead, many years ahead. That's quite common. You can actually just find yourself in a completely different dimensional Earth altogether. So it's just being very, very aware of this. And the last thing I want to do is create any kind of fear-mongering, because that's not what this is. When I was walking by that tree, I was just getting a nudge from Spirit saying, Brad, turn on your camera, start talking to people about portals, okay? Because people need to know this. So if I was basically keeping this to myself, many of you guys would be oblivious about this. And I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that you guys have this information, that you're able to be aware of it, right? And like I said, if you're on the public trails, you're walking in daylight, completely fine. I would say you're absolutely fine, right? It's just when you're venturing off into the deeper woods, where there's no trails or anything of that nature, and it's getting dark, right? It's sunset, it's dusk, maybe it's an hour after sunset, or it's late at night. Please be careful. Please be aware of that, okay? And you should not be doing that unless you have experience with dowsing, right? You have a pendulum that you're trusting yourself as a dowser. You have a person with you who again is an experienced dowser. You should not be wandering into the wild woods late at night by yourself, where you're not experienced as a dowser, where you can't really sense energy. Okay, you want to be very, very aware of that. For people who do stumble upon portals, what Spirit has told me as well too is you'll feel kind of like a light magnetic force. Okay, when you're very, very close to a portal, there's kind of like a light magnetic force coming together. It's kind of like taking your hands and creating a chi ball, right? And you feel that kind of light magnetic tug. It's the same thing when you're very, very close to a portal. Okay, when you're close to a portal, it feels like there's a light magnetic touch that you're feeling. And again, intuitive people who are quite open to sensing energies can detect this. Okay, so I'm sure I'll probably do a lot more videos on nature portals in the future, because it's a whole big topic. I could talk about this for 2, 3, 4 hours because there's a lot to it. People have also wondered, Brad, is there anybody that has created like a dimensional map that have actually like looked at forests and they're actually able to hone in on where portals are? Well, I could create something like that. I just don't have the time. If I basically got satellite imagery and got like a photo of it and laid it down on my table and started working with my pendulum with Spirit, yes, I could probably outline quite a lot of where these portals are. So I could do that. Some dowsers could probably do that as well too. To my knowledge, there's nobody that I'm aware of that has done such a thing. It would be great if somebody did that, because that's very informative and that can help a lot of people out. So, like I said, I'll keep my ears open, and if I do know somebody who is doing that, then I'll probably let you know. I may experiment with it down the road when I'm not so busy. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. But yes, it would be great to have a portal map to look at many common national forests, state forests, provincial forests, and actually having a map about where these portals are. As a spirit ambassador, what I'm going to be teaching my students, they haven't got to that point yet, is actually how to close portals. If it is something that is conjured or causing a risk to people, spirit ambassadors will know how to close that portal. But this will basically be taught to my spirit ambassadors who become certified. So that's kind of an additional bit of information there. I'm teaching my spirit ambassadors a lot more deeper stuff that I'm teaching people on YouTube, that I've taught people in sessions, and a lot more. A lot of deep stuff. So again, I just wanted to share this information regarding nature portals. I'll be talking about this again very, very soon. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care.